fills me in the air, it shivers cold and thin.
Echoes of the Forgotten Bride. Episode 11, The Ghost in the Shell. Art is supposed to be immortal, to capture a moment, a feeling, a soul, and preserve it forever. But some art should never be created, some moments should never be captured, some souls should never be contained. And some mistakes can only be fixed by those who made them. This is the 11th echo. Silas Crane was drunk when he created the shell. Not falling down drunk, not slurring drunk, but that perfect level of intoxication where grief felt like inspiration, where pain felt like art, where the worst ideas seemed brilliant. He was a maker of soul vessels, that's what he called them. Seashells infused with whispered memories, with captured emotions, with fragments of feeling preserved in calcium and nacre. People bought them as gifts, as keepsakes, a shell containing a grandmother's laughter, a shell holding the memory of a first kiss, a shell preserving the joy of a wedding day. Silas would sit with clients, have them whisper their memories into the shell, he'd seal it, enchant it with old words his grandmother had taught him, and the shell would hold that moment, forever, play it back when held to the ear, like the ocean's voice, but personal, intimate, real. It was beautiful work, meaningful work, until the night Alina died. Alina had been his partner, his love, the person who made his isolated artist's life bearable. She drowned in a kayaking accident, sudden, senseless, one moment alive, the next claimed by the water that surrounded Haven's End like a noose. Silas had been devastated, destroyed, unable to work, unable to eat, unable to do anything but sit in his studio and stare at the shells, at the art that suddenly felt meaningless. One night, 3 bottles of wine deep, he had an idea, a terrible idea, a brilliant idea. He could create a shell for Alina, not containing a memory of her, but containing her, her essence, her spirit, her grief and love and all the things left unsaid. He found the largest conch in his collection, pale pink, perfect spiral chambers, and he began. He didn't whisper happy memories, he whispered pain, loss, longing. He whispered his rage at the ocean, his despair at her absence, his desperate, consuming need for her to come back. The old words his grandmother taught him were for preservation, for gentle magic, but Silas twisted them, made them darker, more demanding, not asking, commanding. Come back, be contained, stay with me. When he finished, the shell felt different, heavy, cold, it pulsed slightly, like something alive, like something trapped. Silas put it on his shelf, labeled it, added it to his inventory. He'd meant to keep it, but in his grief fog he forgot. And when a customer asked about shells for special occasions, Silas's assistant packaged it with others for the estate sale. By the time Silas realized what he'd done, the shell was sold. That was 3 months ago. Now Silas was sober, horrified, desperately trying to track down the shell before whoever bought it opened it, before whatever he'd trapped inside got out. The buyer had been a young couple, honeymooners, Leo and Anya Reeves. They'd purchased the shell along with other decorative items, paid cash, left no forwarding address. Silas had been searching ever since, asking vendors, checking social media, following thin leads, and finally he'd found them, renting a beach cottage in Haven's End, 2 miles from his studio. He had to get the shell back before it was too late, before his drunken grief destroyed innocent lives. He drove to the cottage at sunset, rehearsing what he'd say. I made a mistake, I need that shell back, I'll pay triple, quadruple, just please give it back. But when he arrived, he knew he was already too late. The cottage windows were dark, but he could hear it. The shell singing, not the ocean's white noise, a voice, female, seductive, sad, calling. Come closer, listen, I have such beautiful things to tell you. Silas's blood ran cold, the shell was active, whatever he'd trapped was loose, or trying to be. He knocked, pounded, no answer. He tried the door, unlocked, he pushed inside. The cottage was a disaster, furniture overturned, clothes scattered, signs of struggle or madness, and in the bedroom he found them. Leo lay on the floor, unconscious or dead, face pale, breathing shallow, and Anya sat on the bed, the shell pressed to her ear, her eyes glazed, distant, blissful. She was listening and she was changing. Her skin had a strange sheen, her eyes reflected light wrong, she looked less human, more like something that belonged to the sea. Anya, put down the shell, please, you need to put it down. She didn't respond, just smiled, serene, lost. Silas grabbed the shell, tried to pull it away. Anya's grip was iron, inhuman. She turned to him, spoke in a voice that wasn't quite hers, a chorus, multiple voices, harmonized. She wants him, she needs him. He promised to love her, to stay with her. He broke his vows, they all break their vows, but he will keep this one or she will keep him. Who's she who's speaking? The sea widow, the forgotten, the one you called, the one you trapped, the one you gave hunger and voice and purpose. She thanks you. You gave her a way back, a way to claim what she was denied. What have I done? What did I create? Anya smiled wider, not her smile, something else wearing her face. You created a bridge between the living and the drowned, between longing and claiming, between the widow and her new husband, and now he is hers, forever. Leo groaned, stirred, his eyes opened, unfocused. He looked at Anya, at the shell, at Silas. Help me, please, she won't stop. The voice, it's in my head, telling me to go to the water, telling me to drown, to join her, to be her husband. I don't want to, but I can't resist much longer. Silas understood. The shell didn't just contain the spirit, it amplified it, gave it a focus, a target. Leo was the nearest man, the nearest potential husband. And the sea widow, the fragment of the bride that Silas had accidentally summoned, wanted him, needed him, would destroy Anya to have him. I can fix this. I can take the shell, seal it properly, destroy it. Anya's hand shot out, grabbed Silas's throat. Her strength was impossible, crushing. You will not. She is free now. She will not be imprisoned again. She will have her husband, or she will drown this entire town trying. Silas couldn't breathe, couldn't speak. Black spots danced in his vision. Leo struggled to his feet, tried to pull Anya off, but she backhanded him, sent him flying, effortless. The shell, it was the anchor, the connection. As long as it existed, the sea widow could use it, could channel through it, could claim hosts and victims and husbands. Silas had created a monster, and now it was his responsibility to stop it. He stopped fighting Anya's grip. Instead, he reached into his pocket, pulled out a smaller shell, one he'd prepared before coming, one containing a different kind of magic. His grandmother had taught him binding words, but she'd also taught him breaking words, words to shatter enchantments, to dissolve magic, to free what was trapped. He'd never used them, never needed to, but he'd prepared this shell as insurance, just in case. He brought it to his lips, whispered the breaking words into it, then smashed it against the floor. The shell exploded, silver dust and sea spray. The magic released all at once, a wave of undoing, of dissolution, of return to natural state. The large conch in Anya's hand cracked, fractured. The voice inside screamed, rage and loss and the denial of desire. No, no, I was so close. Give him back, give me what I'm owed. But the shell continued to break, the magic unraveling, the sea widow's anchor shattering, her voice growing distant, fading, being pulled back to wherever Silas had called her from. Anya collapsed, released Silas, her eyes cleared. She looked around, confused, terrified. What happened? Where am I, Leo? Leo crawled to her, held her. They clung to each other, whole, human, free. The conch shell finished breaking, reduced to powder, the voice silent, the sea widow gone, sent back to the deep, to the collective grief of the forgotten bride. Silas stood, rubbing his throat, shaking. I'm sorry. This is my fault. I created that. I put you in danger. I nearly got you killed. Leo stared at him. What was that thing? What did you put in that shell? My grief, my longing, my desperate need for someone to come back from death. I didn't mean to summon anything. but I was drunk and heartbroken and I twisted the magic. I called something, a fragment, a piece of something larger, something that's been claiming this town for over a century. The forgotten bride, everyone talks about her, the legend. She's not just legend, she's real, and she's not one entity, she's many, every widow, every woman who lost someone to the sea, every bride left waiting, they're all part of her, a collective of grief and rage and longing, and I gave one of them a voice, a way to act, to claim. I weaponized grief. Anya touched her throat, I heard her, felt her. She was so lonely, so desperate, it wasn't just hunger, it was need. Like she'd die without connection, without someone to hold her. That's what makes her dangerous. She doesn't want to hurt anyone, she just wants what was taken from her. Love, partnership, a husband, but the only way she knows to get it is to take it, to drown someone, to claim them forever. Silas helped them up, checked them over. They were bruised, traumatized, but alive, unmarked by permanent damage. Lucky, so very lucky. What do we do now? Will she come back? Not for you, not without the shell. The connection is broken, but Silas hesitated. There might be others. I've made hundreds of shells over the years. Most are harmless. But if I made one like this while grieving, while desperate, it's possible I made others. I need to find them, retrieve them, before anyone else gets hurt. We'll help. Leo shook his head. No, you need to leave Haven's End, go somewhere inland, somewhere the sea can't reach. This town is cursed. It's been cursed for generations, and people like me who play with its magic just make it worse. But you're going to fix it, right? You're going to find the dangerous shells. Silas nodded. If it takes the rest of my life. I created this problem, I'll solve it. Over the next weeks, Silas traced his sales, contacted buyers, explained there had been a product defect, offered full refunds. Most people handed over their shells without question, but 3 were missing, sold years ago, untraceable. Silas kept searching, haunting estate sales, flea markets, antique shops, looking for his own creations, terrified of what might happen if the wrong person found one of the corrupted shells. He stopped making new ones, stopped taking clients. His business collapsed, his savings dwindled, but he didn't care. This was penance. This was responsibility. One evening, exhausted, he sat in his studio, surrounded by shells, by the remnants of his art, his life's work that had become his greatest shame. A knock at the door. He almost didn't answer, but something made him look up. A woman stood in the doorway, mid-30s, dark hair, sad eyes. She held a shell, one of his. He recognized it immediately, from 5 years ago, before Alina died, when his magic was still pure. I bought this at a garage sale. The owner said it contained her mother's voice, her laughter. I lost my own mother last year. I thought maybe hearing this one would help, would remind me that joy exists, even in grief. Silas stood. That was kind. Did it help? The woman smiled, small, genuine. It did. Your art is beautiful. It captures something precious, something that would otherwise be lost. Don't stop making them. The world needs beauty, especially now. But I've also made terrible things, dangerous things. I've weaponized grief. Then make better things, learn from the mistake, but don't stop creating. Creation isn't the problem. Intention is, control is, respect is. You lost that for a moment, in pain, in desperation. That's human, but you found it again. That's what matters. Silas felt something crack in his chest. Relief, absolution, maybe. Who are you? My name is Margaret. I'm a counselor. I work with grief, with loss, with people who think their pain makes them monsters. It doesn't. Pain just makes us human. What we do with it determines everything else. She placed the shell on his workbench. I'd like to commission something if you're still working. My mother's voice is gone, but I remember her songs. I'd like to preserve them for my daughter, so she knows her grandmother through something other than grief. Silas looked at the shell, at Margaret's kind, tired face, at the opportunity to create something good, something healing, something that honored loss without exploiting it. I'd be honored, but I need to be honest with you about what happened, about the dangers, about why I stopped working. He told her everything, the drunken creation, the sea widow, Leo and Anya, the hunt for corrupted shells, his fear that he'd permanently damaged something. broken some cosmic rule about art and magic and respect for the dead. Margaret listened, didn't judge, just nodded. That must be terrifying, to know your art can harm, but it can also heal. I've seen it. Your shells have brought comfort to dozens of people I've worked with. They've helped them grieve. Remember, move forward, that's not nothing. But what if I make another mistake? What if I lose control again? Then you'll fix it again. That's what responsibility means. Not perfection, just accountability, just showing up, over and over, to do the work. Sila's felt tears threaten. I miss her, Alina, so much, every day. And I'm terrified that missing her is what created the monster, that my love was so selfish, so consuming, it became something dark. Love isn't dark, desperation is. Refusal to let go is, but love itself, that's light. That's what makes the shells work, your love for your craft, for preservation, for helping people honor what they've lost. That's the magic, not the words, not the technique, the love. Over the next months, Sila's worked with Margaret, created shells for her grief counseling practice, taught workshops on honoring loss, on preserving memory without trying to resurrect the dead, on the difference between remembering and refusing to accept. He never found the other corrupted shells. They were out there, somewhere, potentially dangerous, but he'd done what he could, warned people, tried to track them, made amends. And he'd learned about intention, about control, about the responsibility that came with creating art that touched the supernatural. Margaret became a friend, then more. They bonded over shared loss, over the understanding thaw. Grief didn't make you broken, just human, just awake to how fragile everything was. One evening, working late in the studio, Sila's created something new, not for a client, for himself, a small, simple shell. He whispered into it, not Alina's memory, not his grief, but gratitude. Thank you for the time we had. Thank you for teaching me to love. Thank you for being real. I will carry you forward, not by refusing to let go, but by living fully, by creating beauty, by honoring what we were without trying to recreate it. He sealed the shell, placed it on his personal shelf, not for sale, just for him, a reminder. Margaret watched from the doorway. That's beautiful. What did you capture? Not a memory, a moment, this moment, right now. The understanding that loss doesn't have to destroy us, it can just change us, shape us, make us more careful, more intentional, more grateful for what remains. And what remains? Sila's smiled, possibility, choice, the chance to do better, to love again, to create beauty without exploiting pain, to honor the dead without being ruled by them. That sounds like hope. It is hard-won, fragile, but real. Outside, the ocean whispered, the eternal sound, the sound that had claimed Alina, that had nearly claimed Leo, that held the forgotten bride in all her rage and longing. But tonight it was just the ocean, just water, just the boundary between land and deep, beautiful, dangerous, but not evil, not malicious, just honest about what it was. And Sila's had learned to be honest too, about his art, his magic, his responsibility, his grief, his hope. The shells he created now were different, gentler, more respectful. They preserved memory without trying to cage souls. They honored loss without refusing change. They were art, not prisons, not weapons, just art. And that was enough, more than enough. It was everything. Sometimes the bravest thing we can do is face what we've created, the harm we've caused, the mistakes we've made, not to punish ourselves, but to learn, to grow, to do better. And sometimes love means letting go, not forgetting, not abandoning, just releasing, allowing the dead to be dead, allowing ourselves to be alive, to move forward, to love again, to create again, to honor the past without being imprisoned by it. The ocean remembers every voice, every cry, every whisper, but we get to choose which voices we amplify, which memories we preserve, which losses we let shape us, and which ones we let rest. That's the magic, not in shells or spells or supernatural power, but in choice, in intention, in the daily decision to create beauty without causing harm, to love without possessing, to remember without refusing to live. This has been Echoes of the Forgotten Bride, Episode 11, The Ghost in the Shell. Join us next time for Episode 12, The Current's Embrace. Until then, remember that art is powerful, memory is sacred, and the greatest magic is the intention behind what we create.
Shadows in the fog, they pull